Alright guys, welcome back. We're going to continue on with our last, our Battalion Combat Series, BCS, last Blitzkrieg Bastogne scenario. Before we start though, I just wanted to say thanks to all of you who are, enjoying these videos and liking them and watching them and, sending me feedback regarding them. I'm just happy that I can help out, fellow war gamers understand this new gaming system. There are a few, instances where I've gotten some rules wrong or here or there, and I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But for the most part, like I've said before, the Battalion Combat Series as a whole is a really, really easy, really accessible game system. I would have no problems recommending this game, to a new war gamer. That's just my opinion. I find it really easy to play. It's no more complicated than any other war game out there on the market. But let's get back into the meat and potatoes of this video. If you guys remember in our last video, Panzerlehr made the push south into Bastogne. They're starting to lay siege here. And it's the Americans' turn. It's the Allied side, and the only American division left to activate is the 101st Airborne Division. Now, one of the things that I forgot in regards to game-specific rules for last Blitzkrieg is that the Americans can actually use 2 artillery points per destruction mission. And if you recall, the way artillery works in this game is there's 2 different types of artillery missions that you can have. You can have a suppression mission or a destruction mission. Destruction missions are designed to attrit enemy units, where a suppression mission is designed to give you a positive DRM on the combat table when you roll the dice. Now, series rules states that you can only drop 1 point of artillery or air per destruction mission per hex. Which is what we did with Team de Sobry up here from CCB 10 when we dropped artillery on these 2nd Panzer units. CCB 10 got to activate twice, and they used 1 artillery point per activation to attack this hex. What they could have done was they could have used 2 artillery points or 2 air points per destruction mission. I'm not going to roll it back. It is what it is. We'll just chalk it up as to unavailable assets at the time, when Team de Sobry made their artillery call. But from here going forward, especially in the 101st Airborne's activation coming up, we're going to use those artillery and air points to the fullest extent. Historically, the the U.S. had a lot of guns, and were able to inflict some heavy casualties on the German units, using both air power and artillery. And for the Battalion Combat Series, for the BCS series as a whole, artillery and air power is kind of abstracted in these, in these points. So that's all right. It works. It's functional without having to get super into it. Super complicated. But let's go ahead and activate the 101st here. So we'll flip him, and then we're going to roll his snafu. So let's bring up the chart. Roll his 2 dice. He got a 4. That's a horrible roll. So he's right there in the partial zone. Is he fresh? Well, let's take a look. 101st is fresh. So he's going to get a +1. So he's sitting at 5. He's not a mixed formation. There's no game-specific snafu. Oh, there is a game-specific snafu. Okay, so he's back down to 4. He's at optimal distance, so he's at a 5, but he does have ghost range, so he's a 4. Let's see. Is he crossing the streams? No, he's not, because his the path to his supply point's off here out to the west, and nobody else is claiming anything off to the west. CCB 10's down here in the south. So he's at a 4. Alright, so it looks like he's sitting at a 4, which is a partial activation. Again, if we look at the column for partial activation on the snafu results effects table, what this means is units only move at half their movement allowance, and we can only use half of our available artillery points. So, no big deal. And we get to drop only 1 objective marker, which we'll grab that now before we forget. So the game plan. What is the 101st going to do? What I'd like to do is push out this unit here from the Panzer Lair and take that piece of terrain around Bettochamps. Well, Bettochamps is over here, but these hills here, just because if we look at what's coming next for the German player, the only division he has left to activate is a 26 Volksgrenadier, which is strictly, an infantry-centric, infantry-heavy division. Do they have any armor? They've got no heavy armor. So again, this is going to be their big push with manpower. And they're fairly decent units. They're AR4 6 steps, so they'll definitely put up a fight. But the only way that logistically what they're going to want to do is to push down along this road here, this track, and get on the main road here, and start hitting Bastogne from the west, or from the east rather. Because if they push north, following the same route as 2nd Panzer, they're going to cause themselves, and themselves being the German divisions here, a lot of coordination and mixed formation, negative DRMs, and that's a problem in this game. Getting those negative DRMs on the snafu table it's painful. They've already got a coordination marker, so logistically they're going to want to just drive in between both Panzer Lair and 2nd Panzer and fill the gap. So knowing that as the American player, what we should do is kind of put some stopgap units here, battalions, and then we'll just try to get a defense in depth. We're going to layer up some of these battalions. We definitely want to push out some battalions up here towards Bastogne and Longchamps, because again, the 2nd Panzer, well, the German player's victory condition is, not only take the hex of Bastogne, but to get some units from 2nd Panzer off the board, off the western edge of the map. And, the two main avenues to do that is going to be, down through here through Foy, coming through Longchamps, through Champs, and off the board, or definitely up through Bastogne and coming off there. So we're going to want to stage, maybe a battalion or two up here just to impede 2nd Panzer. So let's go ahead and start moving chits. So what we're going to do, we have half movement, so basically all of these leg units here, all of these infantry battalions can move 2, have a movement allowance of 2. He's going to move there, that's 1/2. If we look at the terrain effects table, primary road for leg movement is 1/2 point. So he's here, and then let's go ahead and drop some artillery on this guy, yeah? So that's going to be, how many artillery points does he have? He has 3. He's got all of those. 3 plus 2, it's 5. So 2.5. He has 3 points. And let me look and see if that artillery barrage, air point barrage, yes, okay. So he has 3 artillery points and 3 air points. You don't half your air points when you get a partial activation on your snafu. So let's drop 2 artillery points here on this unit. Destruction mission coming up. Let's bring up our barrage table. Here we go. So this unit here, is he in terrain? He is in terrain. You can see his hex here. He's got this little sliver of rolling hills. Rolling hills do count for terrain for combat or barrage. It says yes. So it's going to be here. 4 through 6, he's going to lose a point. Again, we're spending 2 points of artillery on him. So we're going to roll dice twice. He got a 5, so that's 1 decrease. The second one is a 1. And he's here. Now we're going to follow it up. Oh, let's put our objective marker down. I always forget these objective markers. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Oh, just give me just a second, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I had to take care of some daddy stuff. Where were we? Okay, so we just used 2 artillery points here. We're going to move up another battalion from the 101st. Let's move the 1st of the 501st up here. So that would be 1. And what they're going to do is they're going to attack this German unit here. So if we look at our combat table, all right, he's got an AR of 5. Is he dual or supported? And let's take a peek at the HQ track here. He does have support. So 5, 6. We're going to use that 3rd point of artillery for a suppression mission. So 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got an assist from the 2nd of the 501st. So he's 9. He's not a double objective zone. So it's a 9 to a 4. Let's see, is Panzer Lehr support? I believe they have support. They do have support. So 4, 5, and he's in terrain 6. So 9 to 6 is a +3 on the combat table. Let's hope he rolls high. He got a 7. +3 is a 10, which is in this range here. Attacker 1, D situational, traffic. A1 if defender has prepared defense. He does not, otherwise no loss. So the Americans do not lose anything. He needs to, it's a situational, it's not key terrain, so he must retreat. So he's got to retreat 3 hexes towards his HQ, which is down here. Let's go 1, 2, 3. And I believe he has to move to his move side. Situational retreat, not key terrain or prepared defense. 3 hexes. And I'm just looking here, guys. Situational retreat, not key terrain, remove 3 hexes, no flip. Okay, so he does not flip, but he does go down there. And these guys, actually only the attacker has to move in right there. And he gets a stop marker placed upon him. And a stop marker or traffic, all that means is that hex temporarily becomes a stop hex, which means anybody moving through it has to stop. And it's just there to just to show that a battle took place, basically, and there's, you know, destroyed vehicles or whatever. Guys being careful going through there. So that'll get removed at the end of the activation. So, okay. That's not too bad. We did push Panzerlehr. We kind of did the Germans a service there, getting that unit over here towards his HQ. Instead of being, you know, out here, but no big deal. We acquired, or we got done what we set out to do with no losses, so I can't really complain. Can't complain about that at all. Now this unit here is kind of in a bad spot. He's in the open, and we want to get him out of there. We got to figure out how to do that. So for the defense of Bastogne, we kind of want to use this stream to our advantage, because units attacking across the stream, it'll be attack across the hex side. They'll get a negative DRM on the table. So we want to kind of get them out of here, and we want to use this stream to our advantage. So how can we do that? He's got 2 movement points. If we look at the terrain table, moving across the stream is an automatic +1. Moving into a rolling hill is a 1. So that would be 2 if we moved him there, which I think we're going to do. Again, it gets him out of the open, and we're going to use that stream to the 101st advantage there. This unit here is going to spend 2 points, 2 air points to attack this stack. They are in the open, which hopefully we can get some good results going here. So again, look at the barrage table. And we want to start dropping air points here. So it's a leg unit. It's going to be all other barrage because it's not in terrain. So 3 through 6 is going to remove a step. You got a 3. Perfect. Oops. Same thing on him. Now he is not an armored unit. He's not yellow. So he's not a hard unit. So again, it's going to be a 3 through 6. We remove a step. You got a 6. That's another step gone. That was the first air point. Let's do the second air point on him. Same process. Another 6. And on this unit, a 5. Alright, so our air sorties there, and these go away. Did some damage. That's the power of Allied air power and artillery barrage. You know, being able to drop two points of, you know, either artillery or air is very painful to the German player, as he just found out, you know, especially with units out in the open. Ouch. Alright, and we kind of want to shore up these defenses around here. He's got 2. We're going to move the 2nd of the 502nd definitely into Bastogne. And then we need to move some battalions up here. So he's got 2 movement allowance to do it. On a secondary road, it's 1/2. So 1, 2 only gets him to there. If I flip him to his truck side, though, and actually it's still not truck side, it's just because it's not black. I didn't realize that. That's good. So he's got 4, so it's going to be, he just won't be able to make any attacks, which is fine. So 1, 2, 3, and then we'll move him as well. Actually, what's it? Yeah. All right. So on a track, it's 1/2, 1/2, 1, 2, 3. All right. So these guys are staged. Just being prepared for in case 2nd Panzer wants to get froggy and try to run some units off the board. This unit here, as we recall, got pretty beaten up last activation by Panzerlehr, and they don't come back on until next turn, which is very painful. So, what next? Let's see. Some of these units in the open like this, I don't like it, but there's not much we can really do at this point, right? May pull him off here just to get him in these hills. And then he's moved. These guys haven't moved. Let's get him into these woods. Can he move into these woods with 2 movement points? Woods +1. Yeah, you can move him there. Okay. What we're going to do down here, move the first of the 506 there, and the third of the 506 will go right here. Actually, let's move them across the stream into those woods. Can we do that? So woods is 1. And that is woods, right? Yeah, woods. So 1, 2, stream. Yeah, they can do it. We'll just move them right there. So how many battalions do they have? 1, 2, 3. All right, I think that's going to about wrap up 101st activation. We do want to... I want to move his combat trains back a little bit, just because. Let's push him back here. And I want to move the HQ away from where this combat's going to take place, because if, as you recall, what happened to this unit, you know, if combat takes place within 3 hexes of an HQ unit and your units are forced to retreat, well, then those units come off the board. So let's highlight his command range. He's got plenty. If we put him here, are all the units still within command? They are. But I believe he's got to be on a main primary road. Let's look here. Non-railroad hex, 3 hexes away. Alright, so any non-railroad hex. Even still, we can... So he is out of that command range. Alright, so we're actually going to move him here. Alright, let's go ahead and unbutton that. Six hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, we'll leave him there. That's good enough. And that's going to be the first activation for the 101st. So this marker goes away. That stop marker comes off. They've got 1 air point remaining. And let's go for the second activation. He's got to roll a 4 or higher. Rolls a 6. 101st gets a second activation. Oh, before we do that, before we forget, let's check our fatigue increase. We did do the combat table, so on a 1 to 3, our fatigue is going to go up. We got a 5. So no fatigue increase, so the 101st stays at fresh, which is fantastic. Let's do the snafu table, snafu roll. Our 2 dice. He got a 6. That's a decent roll. It's a partial. +1 for fresh is 7. There is no coordination. There is no fatigue. There is no... Is there a mixed formation? There is kind of a mixed formation, because you got CCB 10 here with their unit, and they've got to go up and take this. But if you look at it as a blob, so Like if I highlight, let me bring these units to the fore. Oh, we can leave them there. If you look at the formation as a blob, I think that's what Dean Essig describes it in the 1.1 rules. So you've got the 101st Airborne, which comprise all of these units here with the yellow highlight around them. So if you just draw a big circle around just those units, that's its blob. Same thing goes for CCB-10. So the CCB-10 has 3 units, Team O'Hare, Team Cherry, and Team de Sobry. And if you were to draw a circle around them, they would be a blob. Well, do these 2 divisions, do they overlap? Do their blobs overlap? Yes, they do, because you've got this unit here, the 2nd 506, and then you've got the 1st of the 506, which, by the way, now that I think about it, that's going to cause a coordination result on both HQs. And the reason why is because he moved through a unit from a different division or a different headquarters. They occupy the same space, so it causes a bit of coordination there. So he had actually a -1 DRM, which is still a partial. Well, let's go back and look. What did he have? He rolled a 6, which is partial. He had a +1 for fresh, which is 7. Optimal distance would be 8. -2, he's back down to 6. Yeah, so he gets another partial. Partial activation. But what I was saying about the blobs, if the 2 divisional blobs overlap, you get a mixed formation, which they do in this case. And the reason why they both got coordination markers is for the 1st of the 506 moving through Team Cherry's hex. So that's why they got the coordination markers placed. So this goes away, and it goes away because we applied the negative DRM in our snafu result calculation. So it's another partial activation, which is fine. We can still drop artillery, so he's got 3 artillery points. 3 plus 2 is 5, 2.5, round up, 3 artillery points. Maybe we can drop some more artillery here if we get lucky. Or we can move some guys back and kind of shore up our defense. I don't know if I want all of these battalions way up here, especially this unit here, because he's in the open. I may pull him back just a tad. And we're definitely going to flip these guys, so that goes without saying. And let's go ahead and pull this unit back. He's got 2 movement points. There's 1. Still in the open. Don't like being out in the open. How far does his command range reach? Right there, that's the line. It's fine. We'll get him right there. Actually, let's put him here. So, 1.5. We're going to leave that unit there, leave that unit there. Let's see. If I were to leave the 1st of the 506 in this hex with Team Cherry at the end of the turn during cleanup, at the end of this activation, I'd have to place another coordination marker on 101st Airborne, because technically they're still you know, occupying the same space. So I am going to have to get him out of there. Just don't know exactly where I want to put him. You know, we'll drop him with his unit there. Push him up a little bit. And then let's drop some artillery on some of these units. So this unit here is going to call artillery down on these guys. Might as well use that last artillery point for one, and then we'll use one of the intrinsic artillery points from the headquarters. Flip over to the barrage table. They're in the open. Hopefully we can get some good rolls again. 2, that's nothing. 1, that's nothing. That air point goes away, and he's going to use one more artillery point. 2, that's nothing. 1, that's another. Wow. 2, 1, 2, 1. What are the chances of that happening? Sometimes I'm really skeptical of the dice rolling algorithm that Vassal uses, but I guess that goes for both sides. So absolutely nothing came of that. I'm kind of bummed about that, but what can you do? Let's see. Do streams count as blocking terrain? No, they don't. So technically, we could drop artillery on him too, using 3 of the 501st. We have 2 intrinsic artillery points left, so let's go ahead and do that. And as long as you can draw a line of sight, he is in the open, from one of your units to the target hex. And as long as that target hex is within the command range of the HQ, which they are, then you can drop artillery. So we're going to use the remaining 2 points of artillery here on the first of the 902nd Panzer Layer. So again, it's going to be the 3 to 6 range. 4, that's 1 step. And for the second point of artillery is a 1, which is nothing. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the 101st's activation for this turn. We're going to mark him done, or finished rather. He's finished. Let's go ahead and take care of the fatigue increase here. We didn't do a combat table. We didn't do an engagement table. We should have placed an objective marker. You know, I didn't want to attack anything this turn, not outright. So it's kind of moot, but we'll go ahead and put that there. Any combat objective markers play, sure. So on a roll of 1 only will we increase our fatigue. We got a 2. So no fatigue increased, and the 101st remains fresh. Now what we can do is we can flip our combat trains, which is going to help us in the next turn. And that's it. That's it for the 101st. So there we go, guys. There's another 2 activations down. The Americans are all done with their units for the turn. Let's go and highlight units here. The German player, or the German side, still has the 26 Volksgrenadier to activate. You can see 2nd Panzer's pushing north, Panzerlehr's pushing south. CCB-10 is trying to hang on, and then you've got 101st kind of stretched out, and they're going to try to hold out as long as they can, you know, to give 4th Armored a chance to come on the board on the 26th of December, and they're going to come barreling up from the south down here. So as long as, you know, the 101st can hold out, and they've got the steps and the units to do it, and then this should be a pretty exciting game. So, again, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I hope you guys are getting a better understanding of the Battalion Combat Series. The next video will obviously be the 26th Volksgrenadier, and then that'll wrap up turn 1 for BCS. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Drop me a line in the comments. Shoot me a PM. You know, I'll answer them to the best of my knowledge. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Thanks for your support. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get notified when the next video comes up. And if you guys want to continue seeing more of these, let me know. And I'm just glad that I can, you know, again, show you guys the ins and outs of Battalion Combat Series. It's one of my favorite game series to play, you know, right now. On a side note, I do have Baptism by Fire, which is the 2nd game in the Battalion Combat Series coming. Should be here next week. And that's basically the battle for Kasserine Pass and whatnot. So it's going to be, you know, again, the German African Corps against the U.S. forces there at Kasserine. It's a little bit more manageable from what I've read. It's a lower unit count, and it's probably more intro friendly to new users of the Battalion Combat system. Not that I think the system as a whole is difficult, because really it's not. But yeah, I've got to find out. I don't know when the Vassal module is going to be released for that game, so I may have to move the camera and show you guys on the gaming table what that game's all about. But we'll figure that out next week. But again, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you guys have a good weekend.